Let me first start with a very brief intro. Today's webinar, obviously, you've seen what you will be signing up for. We wanted to discuss today with our expert friends from Pipedrive about how to onboard and manage remote sales team to achieve peak performance. This is something that we have been forced to do rapidly, everyone, through the pandemic. We had to manage to create remote teams, even if we weren't remote teams in the first place. I would like to mention that LearnWorlds has been a remote team from day one. So for us, was also, I guess, a bit easier because we had some processes in place. We had to learn how to do that even before COVID, but obviously COVID has been a catalyst for everything that we have been doing, and especially in a rapidly growing business like e-learning. As you can imagine, we had to learn all things from start, and we had to make our processes scale for much bigger team. So the LearnWorlds team more than doubled in the past year. As you can imagine, we onboarded more than 45 people in the team, and all of them had to be remotely trained, onboarded. We have a team, more than 50% of the team we haven't been able to meet yet up front and shake hands. And I know, talking with customers, that this is the experience that lots of you have had. And we know that some things that close interaction and having a coffee and meeting at the water fountain can really help in so many ways. But we've discovered that we had to do all these things remotely, using the remote tools, using lots of improvisation in order to get to this point now where we can say that we can bring people on board. So I will be talking mostly about our experience in how we set up our own sales team and how we are onboarding the people we bring on board. And obviously this doesn't only apply to sales, but sales is a great example of where this can be applied. And also Diogo will present their own case, how things are being done in Pipedrive and how you can use the smart tools and the automations to make this process much better and much more efficient. So allow me to start by saying that also, yes, of course, don't forget that at the end of the presentation, we'll give you access to resources, workbooks, and other downloads. We'll give you access to 2 great discounts that you might want to use if you're thinking about using a tool like LearnWorlds for training your team or training your associates or your customers, or if you do want to use a tool like Pipedrive for managing your sales team and your pipeline. We're also super happy Pipedrive customers, so I can also attest to how valuable this tool could be for you. And we'll also keep at least 10-15 minutes, as much as we can afford, for an interactive Q&A session. So feel free to ask your questions. Our team is collecting questions as we speak, and we'll try to answer as many as possible at the end of the day. Just a quick poll in order to kickstart this discussion. Are you currently leading or are you building a remote team? This is going to be very, very, very interesting. I guess. See the numbers going up. Let's collect a few more answers. I think that the way things are going, we all have to adapt and to become either fully remote or partly remote at what we're doing. This is now the expectation from the workforce, from businesses. We don't know what else will come to us in the next few months, but people have experienced that, and to a very large extent, the genie is out of the bottle. So we have to be, now that we have experienced how this way of working and growing, we have to be much more flexible in the things that we are doing. So we, first of all, I think this is something that is obvious to everyone, that the pandemic really changed the way we work, we communicate, we socialize, we consume, we learn. But if we look a bit under the hood, these things were not new. They didn't just come right out of the blue with COVID. In fact, there were underlying trends that have been vastly catalyzed by the pandemic. So remote working is not something new. There were so many businesses that were doing that. LearnWorlds has been doing that since 2012, when we first started as a project. Before we even became a company, we're working in 2 different countries, 3 different cities, a remote team, and we were always trying to find ways to communicate, over communicate, get trained, learn, work together, decide, take decisions, business decisions together. So all these things were already happening, but obviously since the pandemic came up, it really changed many of the ways in which we work and we learn and we do other things. So these are some of the numbers that we've from the first research and surveys that have been done for 2020. This refers mostly to the US, and we see what is the change in frequency in remote working before and after the COVID-19. As you've seen, more and more people, like 44% and more of people working 5+ days remotely per week. This is not a static thing, though. We already see after working like 1.5 years working remotely, there is a tendency to really go back in some of the places or try to get back into the office, try to find yourself again within a room with your colleagues. But we know that this it's not easy to be for things to go to the way they were. So in most cases, and this is again some research that we have found as we were researching for this webinar, that 97% of employees don't want to return to the office full time completely. So we know that everybody wants to return back at some point, and we want to be able to at least have the possibility for meetings or for hybrid work, but the possibility for full-time 9 to 5 going back to the office, this is something that is really is not on the radar anymore. People have experienced the merits of flexibility, being able to balance work life and home life, and being parents and being spouses, and controlling their time, working from places that are more affordable without having to commute, without having to stay in a very expensive city, or being able to spend sometimes some quality time in a remote island and working from there as nomad workers. So, and also this has given to us as businessmen, as companies, amazing access to new talent that we probably before couldn't find within our city, within our country. Now with remote working, we have access to much more talent, and this creates many more opportunities for employees as well, because now the place where they will work is not limited by the job market in their city or in their area or in their country, but they can really work for a global company from wherever they are. So this is really a win-win situation, both for companies and for employees, and this is why we really believe that this is the model that will the flexibility will also be definitely part of the game. So there are benefits and there are challenges. Flexible schedule is one of the most frequently cited one by customers, by employees. Sorry. Location independence is also something that is very important. Lots of people will also recommend to their friends to be able to work remotely, but also we can understand that not being able to unplug can be a major problem as well. So we need to have like clear limits at some point on what is online and how many hours or days or like consecutively you have to be online. And I guess this is another. We are now obviously in the extremes as we are going out of the pandemic, but these things will balance out in the long term, and we will be, as companies and as employees and as managers, it will be much easier to balance these different things. What we have learned about onboarding, and as I mentioned, LearnWorlds more than doubled in the past year under very demanding conditions, and also under very difficult conditions for employees themselves who were working under lockdowns in an apartment, perhaps with kids and spouses and dogs, not able to go outside. These have been very stressful times for all of us, and there we understood. We relearned how difficult and how important it is to do a proper onboarding to a person, because as we always say, when we're hiring somebody, it's not only about a person being a good fit for the company, but also the company has to be a good fit for the person. It's a major decision to like apply to a new company and try to work in a new for a new company, sometimes in a different country. This is a major decision for someone, so we have to make it as best as possible. We have to give them all the resources, all the information, and we have to complement, to create a structure, a framework for supporting them. The things that they would usually do in a social basis, like by meeting, knocking on a door and talking to somebody, now we have to emulate all these things through the tools that we use every day, through the education, through the contact, through the support, through all the structures that we have. So the first thing that we learned about onboarding is that you only have one chance to get it right. You cannot onboard a person twice. And if your first week your first day and your first weeks are extremely important. If the glass breaks a bit there, it's very difficult it will take weeks or months to regain this confidence, to regain this enthusiasm of somebody going into a new job. Onboarding doesn't happen in a vacuum, or doesn't happen on its own or by osmosis. If you just get a person on the team and hope that they will figure it out, and hope that they will just talk to their colleagues and figure things out, it doesn't work. It has to be deliberate. It has to be a very well designed process. You have to be very thoughtful, especially as we mentioned about the first steps, in order to get the right results, to get them in the position where they can perform, where they can do their job, be happy, be efficient, be effective for your team, be a good team player. So we have to be very deliberate about onboarding. And we know that we botched some of the onboardings, especially in the first months of the pandemic, where everybody was working double shift and it was very difficult. We know that the experience of onboarding a few people wasn't ideal, but this is something that we learned, and we always customize the role per role and department. We have to be very careful about who we are teaching and what we are teaching. And we know that this is always a work in progress. We don't have definitely the best onboarding. Every week, every new person that we bring on board, we always try to improve, make it a bit better. We always try to learn from the new recruits and improve this situation, this onboarding process. It's very crucial for every for every business and for every employee. And this is also quite a long process. It starts with the offer. Not even on the first day, but from the day of the offer, you have to slowly start onboarding the person that will come to your team. And for us, it lasts about 3 months. Usually, these are 3 months after the first day in the job. So, what are the goals for remote onboarding? Again, this is not something that we had figured out before. This is something that came to us after lots of trial and error, and after lots of mistakes as well. So the first thing is to be able to bond the employee with the company and build relationships. And these are things that might have seemed trivial before, because these would happen naturally if you had somebody going to the room, into the meetings, into like spending time having lunch with your employees. But we cannot underestimate how important it is to do that now in a remote setting. You have to give to the person the sense of belonging, to be part of the team. You have to over communicate. We have to engage with them. You have to make them feel part, not of a disconnected, remote digital process, but you have to make them feel part of the team. And these are things that we have taken for granted. We were taking for granted in the past, but now we have to be much more deliberate in how we execute. You have to make them feel good about their choice and get excited, because they are undergoing a stressful period as well, going into a new business, feeling very anxious about what their performance will be and what they will do. So you have to make sure that you embrace them and make them feel, validate and feel good about their choice. You also have to expose them gradually to the company culture. What are the attitudes, the vision, the values? Again, these are things that usually they would happen on their own, but now we have to be deliberate. We have to communicate as much as possible and be very clear about the team. Training is very, very important, and this is where we, as a training business ourselves, this is where we give the huge importance. They have to learn about the new role, the company, the new product, whatever changes. Nobody usually comes to a new job and they know everything, so they have to learn a lot. And the more you invest in somebody, the more you train them, the more they understand that you give value to them, that you value them as persons and as members of the team. So sometimes we say that education is the best form of marketing, but also it applies that education is the best form of HR. Companies do not know all the problems that they will have to solve, especially startups. New problems are arising every day. You have to adapt to new situations. You cannot know anything. You only know that you don't know and that you have to learn fast. So this is very important, and for us, and this is something that we're also learning every day from our customers. We know that we have to keep training our people about the product, about the new evolutions, the new processes, everything that happens. And people understand that this is an investment also to their career. By learning, they not only become better in this particular job that they are solving now or this particular role that they're filling, but also they are becoming more accomplished professionals, and they will be able to grow and expand and do better stuff tomorrow. Obviously, we have to figure out the operations, set up accounts. We give them access, for example, to Pipedrive. When we're talking about sales team, we give them access to Slack. We give them access to Gmail, which is what we use internally, and all the internal folders. Home office and gear. People will have to get set up with all the tools that they will need to use, and also HR systems, the tools that we use to communicate and monitor the progress of the team, and also make them feel comfortable in the role. This is the key for them to start performing in the future. So a bit more specifically about the onboarding process for our sales team. As we mentioned, this usually lasts like 90 days. We start with the pre-onboarding, which is the day that folks have accepted the offer that we make. And even from day one, we start communicating with them, giving them access to news, so that the day they start, they don't start from zero, but they have already created a connection with the business, and they already know where they're coming from. So this is a nice way to also utilize this time between the acceptance of the offer and the actual first day that people will come to the job. The first day and the first week are immensely important, and these can be also good predictors about the eventual success of each employee. Sometimes even from the first week, we see who will be the high performance and who will be able to stand out. And all this training usually ends after 3 months. This is when people are then fully embracing their role, and they can start working based on performance criteria. They start being trainees, and they get proper assignments and start working on their different roles. Before the onboarding, we start by sending, and some of the things that we're mentioning here are things that we haven't done even with people that we have signed with, that came to us 1 month ago or 3 weeks ago. As I mentioned, we're totally improving the process on every given hire and on every given week. So we start. This is the process for now. We start by sending some swag or a welcome package with a personal note. This can complement a bit the disassociated connection that we have with somebody, and give it a bit more, make it a bit more personal. We have to order equipment. This has become a nuisance in the past few months. We know how difficult it is to get access to a web camera or to a certain laptop, things that again we were taking for granted. Now we have to be much more deliberate. We always try to keep people engaged and informed. We send them articles. For any new release we have, we give them access to the blog. We try to send emails so that they feel close to the company and not just a forgotten person that will start working at some day. A couple of days before the onboarding, we send them a full guide, a full onboarding guide that is very, very specific and very, very detailed about things that will happen in the first few days. the meetings that they will have, all the hours, all the things that they will have to study. We set up their software accounts, and also we give them access to the HR information system where they will be seeing their personal. They will be entering their personal information, and we show them how they will be able to use this tool. So this is kind of the example of the onboarding guide that we give to people. It's very fully designed, usually for 1 week, and it has all their meetings so that this is a full orientation like you would go first day at school or first day at the university. You get all the resources that you and all the meetings that you have to do. First day, very, very important, starting with a welcome from the manager, usually participation in the daily team stand-up where you start meeting other people, a full welcome on Slack, and people just pile you up with all the welcome messages, signing up any paperwork and setting up your HR information system, getting access to the software. And for us, very, very important always is the product demo. So the product is the flagship of the company. It's the most important part. Is where everybody has to work there, and we insist very, very much on all jobs that people will have to use the product like they are an expert. This is very important, and this is something also obviously that we've seen from other businesses as well. And where we eat our own dog food is using the LearnWorlds platform for training people. This is very, very important for us. So it's part of the learning, part of the learning itself. So we have set up, we're using our very own LearnWorlds Academy, where we are setting up onboarding processes or onboarding courses for all the different roles. And in there, we have videos, we have ebooks, we have assessments, we have recordings, we have everything that people would need to learn in order to progress within their role. So at that point, the LearnWorlds platform becomes the tool that they will be start using the most, and where they will be accessing their courses. And the rest of the week goes on with meetings. We usually set them up with a buddy or mentor where they can ask questions and receive answers. Even for the sales team, because as I mentioned, we want people to be very knowledgeable about the platform and what they will use. We even partner people up with the customer support so that they can use for several hours. They can shadow the customer support reps and see with their own eyes what our customers are asking about the platform, what are their problems, how the processes of the entire team work. So for us, this is very, very important. This is a huge part of the training. And let me show you in a bit the practical part, like how the LearnWorlds platform looks like from the inside. LearnWorlds, if you don't know by now, it's a platform where people can create and sell or share their online courses. So this is a very easy to use platform where you can combine all the content you might have. It can be videos, it can be ebooks, it can be quizzes, as we mentioned, and this is and you can share it, and also you can have great, very detailed analytics about what is happening there, so you know how people work. So what you see here is the dashboard of the academy. Lots of people, more than 12,000 people. We also use this thing for training our leads. So people come in and get webinars and trainings about how to use the LearnWorlds platform. But just focus a bit here on one of this is a private course of a LearnWorlds onboarding course for the SDRs. So this is something that is very easily to create. So people from the team managers can easily use the platform to set up their own courses. They just upload the video. As you can imagine, we try to be very fast in developing content. We don't have the time to create very specific courses for onboarding, so we try to reuse as much content as possible. So even a webinar like we're doing now, you can just download the video and use it as a training for SDRs. Another thing that we're using, We always record the calls of salespeople or account executives with customers, and we always take the best calls and the worst calls or the most representatives for specific market segments, and we use those as training material. So when we're talking about training the team, it doesn't necessarily have to involve creating content, like teaching content specific for that role. You can use the tools and the content that you have at hand, the things that you do every day. You can always reuse this material and make it part of the training process. So this is how the course looks like. It's very easy to create. You just add in a new section, for example, and here you can upload some case studies. It's very important for us that everybody knows the case studies of the customers, specific market segments, what they want, what they need, why, or competition, why we're best than the competition, in which points we're very strong, in which points we are less strong. This is very, very important for people to understand the platform. So the platform becomes the focus of our own onboarding, and it becomes the place where people will be spending most of their time, not only during their first week, but during their first 3 months, definitely, and also continuing also in the future. Continuing education is a very big part, and also the platform for us complements part of the social aspect, the things that you would just discuss with your colleagues in the corridor or in the cafeteria or or anywhere else. We use the social features of the platform, so we have enabled the built-in community. So right next to each case study, right next to each question, right next to each feature presentation or comparison, you can a new person can ask questions, receive answers. So the platform becomes the focus of what they have to do and what they have to learn in the platform. So this is for us, this is the way where we obviously using the thing that we are best, a platform and education. This is where we give more focus when it comes to onboarding our team and making sure that they know the product, they know the processes that we use internally, but also are able to communicate with the other members of their team, understand, and this knowledge, these answers remains part of the course. So it will benefit also the next people who will come after 1 week or after 1 month, and they will find more questions, more answers in there, and more content to help them be successful in their job. So let's go back very quickly to the presentation. I don't think that there is any need to. These are things that I have already mentioned. Important things that we always share: recorded Zoom sales calls. This is one of the most sought after content. Like live calls with customers. These are very, very important things. Or the mock calls that we are doing internally within the team. These are some of the most interesting resources for people to use. And at the end of the onboarding, we also do a survey. This is, as we mentioned, this is a constant work in progress. There is no final onboarding. We will never get done with onboarding. This is something that we'll have to improve always as we are learning about what is important for the students and whatnot. So thanks for your attention and your time. I think I'm a couple of minutes overboard when it comes to our time. So I'm passing the ball over to Diogo, who will be able to present his version about how they do things over at Pipedrive. So Diogo, the ball is on you. Stop my sharing.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Panos, for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here today and try to tell you guys how Pipedrive went on about going home. We went remote in 24 hours, which was incredible last year. But I guess when you prepare a business and the sales team for that reality, it becomes really easy. When you have the right tooling, when you have the right mindset, it's really easy to just go remote and start using even new tools. And all of these things that Panos mentioned, they are really crucial in a sales team, at least if you're striving for performance. When you're building a performance sales team, you really need to focus on a lot of things, tools, processes. But if you don't get the onboarding right, it's like building a house and failing on the foundations, right? So you just need to tackle that onboarding phase. First of all, hiring the right people with the right mindset. And I do think that this reality from COVID just showed us that there are so many possibilities out there. We can now hire remotely anywhere in the world. We can have multiple and diverse teams tackling sales in the US, in Europe. And this is something that I like to bring about when we're talking about performance. Performance always depends on the industry and always depends on the region where you're selling and the product, of course. But let's take it on a global approach, and let's find out what Pipedrive managed to ask our customers and non-customers. We actually just started this state of sales report 2 years ago, and it's been a success. And I'm now going to start by sharing the results from these last 2 years, which were kind of like new for everybody, right? There was a new reality in sales and the industry overall. And we've asked 1.7K sales professionals in English, German, Portuguese, and Spanish about what they felt the industry was going to be, or what they felt about their career. And this is what I'm about to show you now. So I guess I'm already sharing my screen. And when we look at this first slide, I would just like to tell you that this is based on tech and software IT companies mostly, because our customers and non-customers, people who tested Pipedrive in the past, they are usually within the tech, software, and IT industry. So all the answers will be kind of like in that sense. Of course, a certain type of industries in sales, like retail, construction, they haven't changed as much. They did change, but not as much, while tech, software, IT is much easier. So when you look at this data, and data can pretty much say anything you wish, right? But when you look at this, or to all the answers that I'm about to show you, just consider that most of these companies are in the tech and IT industry, consultants, retail, and then we have a bunch of others like pharma and so on that kind of grew a lot into the digital world last year. The main takeaways that we found were, we have these 6 ones. And the main one is that salespeople do believe that they have a positive impact in their work, despite feeling undervalued in the last year. This is kind of like a curious fact, but I'll show you why this happened with some data that I'll share later. The second point is, in 2020, of course, it was a challenging year, of course, for everybody, I guess. Still is 2021, but of course, things are reopening. And like Panos mentioned, there are a lot of companies that are now trying to become strict again and in bringing back people to the office. And reality has shown that we should take advantage of both sides of the equation, right? So still, many people feel that their career can jump into success in 2021. Also, the third point is that the trend towards working from home has impacted the industry. And you have now, if you're talking about peak performance in sales, you need to consider that you have a bunch of teams at home, a lot of people at home, and they're selling, like Panos mentioned, in an environment where we have kids, you have dogs, you have probably apartments that are not suited for remote calls 24/7. And this is something that companies really need to tackle. And you'll see the reality from salespeople. There are a lot more people working from home now. Fourth point is the right training and technology do drive success. Like Panos was mentioning, you cannot do all of these things, and you cannot tune or have your team strive for peak performance if you're not handling them the right training. And of course, this is a matter of doing the right hiring, the right onboarding. And when you're hiring salespeople, you need to get them to work and understand the processes really fast, because it's a revenue-based work job. So it's really important that they know how to work and sell a product. So if you fail on this fourth point, things go really bad, really fast. Fifth point, lead generation is a challenge. I'm going to present a couple of solutions that Pipedrive has and other tools have for you. Nowadays, more than just selling things, you need leads. The market is really competitive right now. There are a bunch of competitors in every industry. And if you want to get your leads, you just need to go and get them. You can't wait for them. And Pipedrive has a really cool feature. I'll show you after we delve into this data. 6th point, interesting differences between demographics. Well, of course, one could expect that English-speaking people, German-speaking people, and especially Portuguese and Spanish would have different answers. But this is something to expect, and I don't think there's anything to expect that is specific to the sales industry. About the salespeople feel underappreciated but proud. You can see that in this graphic here, what I'll show you is basically that salespeople have become more successful and more satisfied in their work despite the pandemic, which is something one would never expect. 49% of the people that answered our inquiry, they have said that they've become more satisfied within the 12 months. Still, if you take a look at the data, of course, there is a prevalence for the Portuguese speaking and Spanish speaking inquiry, people that were inquired with these languages. But it's kind of interesting that they were actually part of a role that changed so much. The next slide that I wanted to show is this one. Most of those people that said that something changed, that they see their role as something positive, 55% of those moved into a new sales role in a new company. What does this tell us? Well, a lot of things. First of all, the market in sales is booming. There are a lot of new competitors. This trend of going digital is impacting a lot of SaaS companies and IT companies. So, and I suppose other companies as well in industries. But this means that salespeople are really moving and changing a lot despite the current scenario, and they are improving, and they do feel that they can create an impact in any industry. So this is one point I would like to mention that came out of this report. Another one is a big difference in the time people spend working right now. Sales professionals are still working long hours and on weekends, with majority of people work on weekends, doing that without financial compensation. I do think that this might be because sales compensation isn't fixed. So of course there will be a compensation if they sell more, but in any case, this still shows that salespeople do work usually more than 40 up to 50 hours per week. And if we consider that in US, usually salespeople and everybody usually works for longer, we can say that things haven't changed much from the pandemic, which would be strange, right? You're working from home. People should, in theory, work less. But what happens is everybody tends to work a bit more because there are no breaks. There are no, just you're at work, right? And on average, you can see the differences between salespeople and sales managers. You see the yellow bar here for sales managers and the green bar for salespeople. You can see that sales managers do need to work or tend to work a bit more. And that is because in the digital era, or at least with these new tools, everybody working from home, the sales manager needs to act in a way that subjectively, or at least in the soft skill area, they need to work as a culture glue, or a culture a person that can get the entire team in the same pace, and they need to really create cohesion between the parties. And of course, they still need to do the processes. So I do think that they need to work a bit more in this situation. Salespeople are more activity based, so they will end up working pretty much the same. And if they are going digital, even with less effort and even with more, probably being more sustainable without traveling much less, and so on and so on. But yes, you would see that rarely a salesperson and the sales manager would work on weekends, but still when they do, usually sales managers will work more than salespeople. Another cool graphic is that what method have you used the most to develop your sales skills? And this is really important when you're talking about education. We were talking about tools that could help people get better. And like Panos was saying, you can have this on your own work. You don't need, of course, you need training, and you need to train your team, but you should do it on the job. And these tools, like Panos was showing, they can do this while they're working. They can do this. They can save 1 hour slot, and they can just do what they need to do in order to get training to either improve on a certain soft skill or product training. And actually at Pipedrive, this is what we do. Our practice is usual to have on-the-job trainings for 1 hour slots by the end of the day. Everybody attends that, and there will be an internal training, or there will be some training that we can do by ourselves. But you need to keep things sharp, both knowing the product that you're selling and the current trends. And working from home, obviously, it's the new normal. This is something that everybody's pointing out, and this is kind of like the glue for this, or what brings this webinar all together. 60% of the respondents reported that the place they work from the most has changed. And of course, a lot of them are working from home. This is no surprise to anyone. And as you can see, 41% of all the salespeople that answered the inquiry they are working from home, and a couple others from an open office. This means that a lot of companies probably just ditch their old offices and they start using open plan offices with shared offices, and others just went home altogether. And this is the current trend. At Pipedrive, as a sales executive, I can tell that there was a huge boom in companies looking for tools like ours that would allow them to have their sales teams working remotely and still maintaining their performance. And it has been so great to see a lot of companies that were old school. They were not digital ready, and they are now picking up the pace, which is great. So as you can see, 2019 in green, you had like 33% of the inquiries working from home. It doubled the value in 2020. And I don't think this will go low. This will lower in the future. And of course, this is what I'm here for, to tell you about tools and technologies, how you can strive for peak performance in sales. And despite what Panos said, which is 110% crucial and essential, you really need to get things together when you're building the foundation. Tools and technology will be those that will allow you to go to the next step. And this is when you get to speak about peak performance. Because in order to have peak performance, you need to, as a sales manager and as a company, you need to understand what's bringing a revenue and what's making more money. What kind of activities are generating more money? What kind of activities are not generating more money? And this is something that's pretty objective. There are no gut feelings. It's all about data. And so when we look at this data, for example, do you use any technology or automation tools to help you source and qualify leads? We already have a lot of people that answered yes. And still, we can see that, yes, that there's also why aren't you using any? For those that answered no, aren't you using any? And people will usually say that they haven't found the right tool or that they don't need it. But the truth is, when you ask your customers, have they reached their annual sales target? As you can see here, 63% of the people who use technology and automation tools did to source and qualify leads. They did reach their targets, and people who do not use that same technology, they struggled a bit to get more leads, qualify leads, and of course bring in the revenue. So really important. We're now on a moment of selling online in the digital world. It's not only about selling a product. It's a bit about finding solutions for your customers, and we'll get to that in a bit. But first, I would like to give this overall overview of what you need to do in order to have your sales team striving for peak performance. And first, when you have a sales team scattered around the country, around the globe, like we have at Pipedrive, we have multiple teams in the US, another in the EU, and this makes us work as we have a great culture, by the way, and this is top notch when you want to do something. But of course, you still need to have tools that allow you to do that. Pipedrive allows you to manage leads and deals, so you can have all the customers that you're reaching out to in the same database. You can have all the contacts in the same place. You can filter by contact, filter by region, by industry. You know exactly which person or which companies you're tracking and which companies you are going to send a marketing campaign, for example. So this is crucial. A CRM is crucial. A marketing tool is crucial to do these campaigns and to reach out to your customers. And of course, tracking communications, also something really relevant. I've been doing sales for 10 years or more now, and I've done sales without a CRM. And everybody knows that moment when someone is calling or you just received an email about a quotation and you haven't sent anything, but you don't even know who that person is. So losing data nowadays in 2021 can be really, really game changing, because it will bring you down really fast. People sell based on data nowadays. So whenever you get your customer data, or whenever you want to track or to go and get some industry, for example, a specific industry, a specific niche, you should track, you should strive to have all of this together in one place. And Pipedrive, like many other tools, is that place. For example, you can have on Pipedrive all of your contacts. You can decide exactly when you're contacting someone, and you can automate the way you do that, which is a big part of the way we work with these tools. Automations and IT, or basically AI, artificial intelligence, is one way to work with these tools. They will allow you to basically work when you're resting and spending time with your families. It's a known fact that people started to spend more time with their families working remotely, and the automations and these kind of tools will allow you to just relax and enjoy the ride, because if you set up the right account for your salespeople, if you set up the right cadence, the right process, and the right automations, you'll send emails when your account executives are resting, sleeping, whatever, because your product will work for you. Same thing happens to qualify a lead. If you have a web form on your website, you're trying to get more leads to Pipedrive or to any tool, and I'm going to share that right now. You can get more leads onto Pipedrive. Just tell me if you can see my Pipedrive account here. Just ping me in the chat. I think you can. Yep, it's visible. Great. What I would love to tell is that when you look at this page, for example, if you haven't used Pipedrive, you won't know what this is, but basically this is a page where you can get more leads onto your own CRM. This is a page where, in Pipedrive's case, we do provide the tools to have a live chat option, a chatbot to qualify leads on your website, and even a web form. This web form allows you to, you're on your website, people just contacted you. You don't need to have any human interaction. These leads will be generated. They will be assigned to a specific sales rep on your account, and you will be able to automate a couple emails to that person and even a set of activities. So it works like a charm. And this is productivity when you are resting, doing other and even demos and really talking to your customers. And this secondary type of work or tasks can be done automatically. Also, I mentioned leads and the way that Pipedrive can really boost your lead prospection. We do, and I think that we are unique here in the CRM industry. We do have this prospector tool. This is basically, I don't know if anyone here used LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I don't want to bash them. It's a great tool, but still, I do think that it's quite limited and expensive when you compare it to this platform. But basically in here, you can just search for a company, just add a size of a company, 1 to 10, 10 to 15, add an industry, something like airlines and animation. It's choose a country, for example, United States, and you will have a bunch of leads that you can purchase to Pipedrive, of course. Let's go United Kingdom. If you search this gives you immediate information of who to reach out to. Of course, you can tune this filter a lot better than I just did. This is just to show you how things happen. You select a company and you can purchase leads. This is really, really, really game changing. And this is something that you wouldn't be able to have if you were working, I don't know, 10 years ago. You would just need to go on Google Maps if you had Google Maps, and you still needed to get all the addresses and go there personally. So things happen much fast and it's much easier to do things nowadays with this kind of technology. Now, about the Pipedrive as well, not only we have the automations, but we also have the insights and reports. And this is a big part of Pipedrive. Sorry to go back and forth, but I really want to show you this. You need to, as a sales manager, if you want to have peak performance, you need to get your team on Pipedrive or on a tool like Pipedrive, and you need to know exactly what's happening there. You will be able to build all the reports you want to track what your sales team is doing. You will be able to track what kind of activities they're doing, what kind of activities do provide or do strive for success. Sorry, should be this one. Yep, it's in here. If you go to the insights page in here, you will see that this will build any reports, and these reports are totally built by yourself. So as you can see here, there's this dashboard. This dashboard can have as many reports as you want. There are no limits. You will be able to not only build these reports based on activity performance, deal performance, conversion rates, duration, but you will also be able to build your employees or your sales reps goals here. They can be goals based on revenue, based on activities. You can change it like you can see here, if this is a goal for just for a certain person, for the entire team. There are no limits to this, but basically this gives you a place where people can work digitally. So I don't need to be with my sales manager. She can see, or in this case, it's a she can see exactly what's happening with our team in real time. So you will be able to do this with Pipedrive as well. And any tool like Pipedrive will help you with that. Also, privacy and security, pretty important. When you're dealing with a team of a bunch of people working separately at home, you need to make sure that you give them the right tools with privacy and security. Tools like Pipedrive are totally GDPR compliant. If you are European, you know what this is. If you are in the US or other places, I'm sure that there are a couple compliancy rules that you need to follow up with. And basically GDPR, I think it's one of the most, I would say bureaucratic ones. So if you are GDPR compliant, you are basically compliant with anything else, but data is quite important. So you need to make sure that your customer data is private, that your customer data is safe, and that everybody using it, despite this started yesterday or two years at the company, that the data is fully transparent and safe. Above all things, safe. And then, of course, Pipedrive and other tools do have mobile apps and integrations. We do provide a lot of apps, a lot of benefits for you on the mobile world. In our case, it's just an app. You go online and you go on a meeting and you can add notes. You can tackle deals. You can pretty much do anything with your database. Not only we have all of that. I'm sorry, but I'm already hitting a lot of time for this presentation. But in any case, not only we do have the ability to give you the mobile app, but we also do connect, and this is crucial when you're dealing with peak performance and with the online world, is that you need to make your tools connect and speak with each other. Pipedrive by itself will help you a lot in sales, but you really need to tackle other parts of your business, like billing, invoicing. We do a couple of things like that, but we are not an invoicing tool. We are not a billing tool. We are not a Zoom tool, like a Zoom meeting equipment like this one we're using. So you can synchronize Pipedrive with all of these tools that we have a huge marketplace. You can synchronize your email. Whatever emails you're sending to your customers will be automatically logged in. All the calendar activities will be logged in. And this is great because you can have this for the entire team. And so basically just have your team in a tool like this, and you will have all your team in the same place working for and striving for performance. So main takeaways, I'm sorry to waste your time with all these details, but these are kind of important when we're talking about remote and still striving for performance. But quick summary, I would mention these 4 things: team management in the cloud, data privacy and security worlds. These are advantages. So when you're managing a team, like I mentioned before, data privacy and security is really important. So make sure that these tools are certified and that your data will be safely delivered to a certain tool. That's why it's important to have some kind of comparisons online. Same thing with automations and AI. Work less, work smarter. This is really important. And of course, remote sales, work from anywhere in the global world that we are in. There is no excuse to just stick to be stranded in the office. Okay, I get it. Some companies really like the culture of the office. Nothing can replace that, of course, but we need to do business where business is needed, and we needed to stay at home. And I guess we can take best practices home as well. And last but not least, keep in mind that you need to be doing data-driven sales. This is not about gut feeling anymore. This is not about any kind of feeling that you've had as a salesperson, things that worked in the past. This is real data being delivered in real time in your CRM. So my top tips are definitely master virtual selling and meetingless virtual selling. This means learn how to sell virtually, because you're going to do that for a long time, it seems. And it's really different. When you're selling online, you need to tune in to the person that you have on the other side. You're probably having a different culture, different native languages. So make sure that you learn how to sell in that environment. Be an active listener and avoid pitching products. This is really important. When you're not in person, all the motion and the rapport that you can build, usually it doesn't go through the screen. So you need to solve some problem for your customer. There are no chances around that. And avoid pitching products. Like if you don't know something, just try to solve the problem for your customer, and that's it. Maximize the use of LinkedIn and social media. Pipedrive, for instance, integrates with a lot of social media. Just go on our marketplace and you can also do that. And of course, improve the sales productivity by avoiding these things. Lack of communication between sales and marketing, billing and support. You need these guys all in the same place and with the same mindset. Lack of clarity on how to sell your products. You need to know exactly what you're selling and to whom you're selling. Inefficient onboarding processes. what Panos was mentioning. If you fail on the onboarding, most likely you will have a salesperson demotivated and that person will leave. This wasted you like 6 months of your life, and you're going to train another person really soon. And last, lack of communication between the sales team itself. You can't let that happen. You have a culture, and people need to talk about what's not working. And you can use tools like Slack or any others to do that, which also means going in digital. Last but not least, I think these two go together. Identify your unique selling points and don't bash the competition. You need to know why you're selling that product and what makes your product great and what makes your product something unique. So tackle that, solve the problems for your customers. Don't bash the competition, because in the online world, it's really easy to just with the distance to make sure people feel to like, I don't know, just talk trash or anything else. But to be honest, people just want you to solve their problems. They don't want to know why your product is better than the other. You should just tell them, hey, this is what I do. I want my product to fit your needs. And if this fits your needs, we'll be your partners. And this is all about sales nowadays, I would say. And I guess this is it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I guess we'll tackle those during the Q&A.
Thanks, Diogo, for this presentation. Some amazing data from your research, and also some very practical tips on like how to sell and how to be more effective in your work. I think this is something that comes from both presentations. The environment in which we work has become much more difficult and much more competitive. The solution is not to work 60, 80, 100 hours. Nobody can do that effectively. We have to work in a smarter way as much as possible. We have to use automations. We have to reuse our content. We have to communicate better with our teams and with our internally. And it's not just about the sales team. All entrepreneurship, even core sellers, they have to sell their product. They might not have to sell a software as a service software, but they might have to sell a product. They might have to sell an online course. So these are things that anybody can use. It can be a big company. It can be a small company. Being smarter, working in more efficient ways, and training is also a big part of that, because you can, with training, you can create some amazing connections, and you can make your new employees, your new hires, your new co-workers much more productive, so much faster. So in the environment that we're going, companies and businesses that will evolve rapidly are the ones that they will succeed and they will survive. And it's not the strongest that survives, it's the fittest. It's the one that is able to adapt better to the new environment. And for that, you need the best tools. You need to be very deliberate in what you're doing and not leave things to chance. And you have to get any help you can get from anywhere. And having the best kind of software, having automations, having a leader a leading solution for what you're trying to do can be the difference between success and failure. So before going to the before returning to the to some Q&As, just giving you the opportunity to use two tools that you might need in your job. One is the excellent solution Pipedrive that Diogo solved. So this is a link here that can give you a nice little discount for the first 4 months. So if you need, obviously you can always start a free trial either with Pipedrive or with us. See if this is a tool that will help you with your team. If you're doing sales, if you're doing training, test it, see what these tools can do. And obviously, both our team and Diogo's team will be available to help you out with webinars, content, resources, articles, and everything that you might need to be successful in what you are doing. I also would like to remind you that we will send you a recording of the webinar, because I've seen a couple of people asking about that, and we'll also give you access to some resources from Learnwalls as well. Here is a sample cards and ebooks and tips and some top articles, and obviously the state of sales report that Diogo presented a bit earlier. So we have to adapt. We have to work smarter and faster, not more. And hopefully these resources will help you be more successful in what you are trying to do. Now, let's see if we can tackle a couple of resources. a couple of questions, sorry. We have here probably a couple of questions for Diogo about the prospector and where the data come from, and also a question about the validity of some data from another tool. So I leave you to comment on that.
All right, that's a great question, and that's something that people usually ask. Can I share my screen?
Yes, let me undo my sharing.
Got it. Let's try and share on top of that. Can you see my screen, everyone? Yeah. Yes. All right. So I'll just show you here how how can we validate the data. So first of all, the data is picked up from a bunch of we do have a partner technology, which I cannot mention, that does this for us. And the data comes from LinkedIn, it comes from Google, and a lot of other parts online. So I can't disclose the way that we do this, but we do this with a partner. In any case, I would like to tell that all the data that you see when you select a company, for example, you imagine that you want to reach out to someone in Private Fly. When you open this prospector tool, you immediately see who works there, and there's their title, and sometimes you even get the picture. And you have this icon here that immediately tells you if this contact is great to buy or not. If it's yellow, well, maybe it's outdated somehow. If it's green, you could buy it, and you see exactly what you will buy. You will buy this lead, and this lead will have LinkedIn profile, email, phone number, and all the data from that person. And when you wish to buy, of course, Pipedrive presents you with the package. You can buy a big package, and it will become really, really, I wouldn't say cheap, but if you compare this with LinkedIn Sales Navigator or other prospector tools, it's game-changing. But yes, data comes from the internet, LinkedIn, Google, and a couple others, and it's done by one of our partners that has this technology, which we cannot reveal, but we are the middleman between this and the customer. I hope this answered the question.
I also see, so I think a question here about how we record calls with customers, and for this we use Pipedrive as well, and one of the tools through the marketplace that is connected, and we always ask for permissions from customers so that we know that we have like always, obviously, as any great sales team, we have very detailed records and notes about any call so that we understand a bit more about the problem that the customer is trying to solve, and that we understand what we are offering and how we can make our exchange with the customers better. So customers know about that the calls are being recorded and are being used for training purposes. And obviously we do not keep everything. We only keep the ones that have training value for the rest of the team internally. Good ones and bad ones. Sometimes you learn best from the bad ones. This is learning on the job. This is where we can become where everybody can improve themselves, and we can offer a better service. I see here there's another question about how you can use Pipedrive with LearnWorlds. Well, we don't have an integration right now, and I don't see an immediate need for an integration, but we are here for either training. We are here for offering training, and you can sell online courses, which is what the majority of our customers are doing, or you can train your employees, you can train your associates, you can train even your customers. So now with products being so much more difficult and complex, and with big companies trying to be on brand and try to keep their customers close as possible, education is a big part of that. And as I mentioned before, education is the best form of marketing. So there is no business on earth that doesn't require education in one form or another. And by definition now, all education is remote. Like most of the things happen now remote, and obviously we're not here to replace schools and to replace universities, and we really hope that we will be able to go back into classrooms. But when we're talking about businesses, online training is so much more efficient, so much more measurable, so much more effective, and predictable and improvable. So there are all these things that you can do with your training. So I don't think that there is an organization that involves people and some kind that doesn't require a platform like LearnWorlds. Obviously, there are other platforms out there, but feel free to give it a shot. And also, there's an organization that has customers and doesn't require a platform, a selling tool like Pipedrive. That's for keeping track of your leads, of your communications, your customers, making predictions about your pipeline, being able to follow through and close this sale, whatever your product is. It can be digital, it can be physical, but these are tools now. So what we're presenting here is the experience of two different platforms that modern organizations need. So this is as simple as that, I would say.
Yeah, and I was talking to someone a couple of days ago, and I kind of like remembered exactly what you just said. These are experiences from two companies. Pipedrive went remote in 24 hours, and the feeling that I've had when a lot of people started to become digital, or companies started to buy Pipedrive, companies that are usually not the usual customer. The feeling that I've had is actually we were founded in 2010, so 2010 Pipedrive. It looks like the product was built for 2020, because when time came, when in 2020, we were ready with our product for companies to just acquire it and work with it. And for us, of course, it was great, right? There are a lot of products that lost a lot of mojo because people went digital, but tools like Pipedrive, tools like LearnWorlds, like they're ready for tomorrow. And this is really, really important when you're setting up your mindset and planning your sales team and what to do with your sales team for the future, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. As we've said, the landscape of training of work has changed. The demand of workers and the role of the remote worker is now changing a lot, as per Diogo's presentation. So we have to rethink and be more proactive and be more deliberate about the way we conduct our business, whatever it is. So I really hope, obviously our platforms are out there and you can test the platforms, but you will see lots and lots of similarities in how we also how we try to automate, how we try to make things easier, how we try to make it much easier for a worker to be much more productive. But also you will see lots of similarities about how we sell our product and how we educate our customers and how we try to offer solutions. It's not about just like a product and give it out there. We're trying to solve the problems that today's workers have and today's businesses have. So it's as simple as that. Diogo, I think we covered lots of ground here today. So I would like, from our end, I would like to thank all the people who attended this webinar. I really hope that you find it useful, that you found some nice ideas, tips, and tricks. We follow up with everyone. We'll send you the content that we promised, and we will stay around to help you if you want to, both from us, from LearnWorlds, and Diogo from Pipedrive, to help you be successful with the tools. Good luck, everyone. Stay safe, and hope to meet you soon on the inside in LearnWorlds.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Diogo, thanks. Stay safe.
Thank you, Panos.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day as well. Bye.